Hello, we're back. I think I'm too high up in my chair. There we go. That's better. Welcome. We are back working on Little Plant Game, which I have a name for now, but I'm not going to announce it yet because I want to make sure it's I want to get everything together and announce it along with a Steam page, which hopefully we can be looking at doing in the next, I don't know, maybe even this week, depending on how things go. We'll see. But anyway, I hope everyone's had a good weekend, and let's talk about what we're going to do today. So you may notice my game looks very different visuals wise. I've gotten rid of all of the lighting, and there's a reason for that, which is I want to actually go ahead and implement, hold on, sort my hair out with my headphones. There we go, kind of better, but still. Well, I want to sort out the shader that we've got going on for this. Now, I shared a clip over in the Discord a little towards the end of last week, which if I just pull this up here, this is kind of where I ended up after the last stream that we did on Thursday, and this is like much closer to where I want to end up. This is almost spot on, but there's still a few things about it which I want to change. A few areas where I think it could be improved, a few things where I want to kind of have more control over the way that it looks, especially when it comes to rotating things, because we were using an approach that was whoops, not that, go away, because we were using an approach that was affecting the normals of the object based on like a normal texture baked from Blender. If we change the rotation of the object at runtime, it still maintains that as the mapping for the normals, if that makes sense. So what would usually be positive on the z-axis, if we rotate by 90 degrees, that value for the normal then becomes the map for positive along like the x-axis. So it kind of wasn't working exactly how I wanted it to, and I also didn't have full control over kind of how the effect looked completely. So alternatively, we have the option of basically going in and just overriding the lighting completely using a screen space texture map to then re-render the shadows as if they were being painted through this like paintbrush texture. So that's the approach that I want to look at taking, because if we just let's put this pot on a normal URP simple lit, and maybe get our directional light, and let's actually rotate this so it's a little nicer instead of pointing straight down. Maybe something like that. And then in the global lighting, because we're not going to worry about global lighting particularly too much anymore, there we go. We get more of this like some actual shadows, or some real sense of depth, and we can just grab this in a shader graph and overwrite it with apply a toon ramp, and then use that toon ramp to effectively overlay some texture, whether that's like half-tone, dithering, whatever. It gives us a bit more flexibility for how this shader is being applied, and we can still use some of the similar stuff that we had in the clay shader from before, to have some, like, you know, a bit of texture going around on the thing. And we could possibly even do that in screen space as well, but that might look a bit weird, so maybe we continue to use object space for that. We'll see. But so yeah, I figure that's what we can dive straight into today, is actually getting that shader made, getting it looking good, getting the right parameters, and then being able to kind of move forward with that as the basis for our shader. And it might take me a little longer because I am knackered. I feel like I need a nap. but we move. So first things first, let's actually go ahead and make a new shader graph. We're going to make a URP unlit shader graph. Reason being, I don't want to use the default shaders, or the default shadows, sorry, on my new custom shader. I just want to be using the lighting information. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to call it Painterly Shader. We'll go ahead and pop this thing open. So something that I should start with as a prerequisite is that I've created a get main light info node. This is a custom node which uses this custom function which Unity themselves provide. I really think it's quite stupid that there's a blog post about this shader for how to get custom light information in URP, and they haven't just implemented it as a node already. Like, it feels like that just makes sense. They've added, since Unity 2022, they've added in from input lighting, you've now got the main light direction, which just gives you this direction value, but it doesn't give you the color and it doesn't give you the attenuation. So, like, come on, let's get it together, Unity. But using this this custom script, which basically is doing everything there that we want to. There's an extra step here, which specifically for the preview and shader graph, because we don't have any instance of main light, it just sets some of these direction, color, distance, attenuation, and shadow attention values to some defaults. And then we've got some checks for depending on how we're doing shadows, whether it's in screen space or not. But then it's just returning basically default values, which we can already access in Unity. Like this get main light function is a shader function that Unity provides. It's in URP by default. And then it's just grabbing the main light direction, main light color, and the main light distance and shadow attenuation. It's, you know, why they haven't just put this as a default node yet makes me, like, it astounds me. It's really interesting. Bionicle can't really join stream right now, but came to say hi and good luck with the modeling, game making in general. Thank you, friend. Hopefully, if you get time later to stop by, I'll see you then. But otherwise, enjoy your day. Hope you had a good weekend. Okay, so with that in place, we now want to actually do some, well, that out the way, we want to start doing some gubbins. So first things first, I'm not going to mess around with the lighting yet. I'm just going to take my pot shader and I'm going to switch it over to my shader graphs and my Painterly shader. So there we go. There's the pot. Currently just looks like a grey blob because we're not doing anything. So first things first, let's add a property for a color, which we're going to call base color. And this is like step number one. We can just plonk this right over into our base color. And now over on our pot material, we're actually, we can give it some shade again. PSP Plays, hello, welcome. Good to see you. Is this your first stream or have you been previously a lurker? Because I think most people who watch my streams tend to just watch them for the vibe and the ambience and have them on in the background. Oh, it's a first. Nice. Well, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy your time here. Okay, so got this base color. What we want to do is filter the base color through some of our lighting data. But before I do that, I also want to affect it with, like I was saying, with the clay shader that I have, which I tell you what, let's do something a bit better here. I'm going to just take the basic pot, I'm going to duplicate it, move it across, so that we can see both of these kind of side by side. And I'm going to take this basic pot and I'm going to apply a new material called pot old onto this, which I'm going to have use shader graphs, clay shader. Can we put on the pot, please. Please. There we go. So we can see this is looking weird. Something strange going on here. I think part of that is probably due to how I've set this thing up. But I did also mess around a lot with the way it was working, so it looks absolutely terrible. But this is also a lit shader, so it takes into consideration things like our ambient lighting, not the real-time shadow color. Let's escape that. Ambient light color. So we had this somewhere around here before. Directional light was as it was, but it's down at like 0.1 for the intensity, and it's just, yeah, I can't quite, it doesn't quite get the right vibe going. So we're going to start off firstly by having our stop motion kind of jiggle going on this pot over here. I am also going to steal the old color because I like that color a lot for the pot. Bang. Yeah, it's nice and warm. It feels like good terracotta. So let's add some more properties. I'm going to have a float for frame rate. And I'm also going to have a float for color, or I guess we'll do base shade variation, which will take this one and we'll make it a slider with a default value of like 0.05, and it can go between 0 and 1. So we need to create a gradient noise for this. This is going to be the basis by which we vary our base shade. And actually I'm going to go ahead and just put some spaces in here, keep my naming consistent. So I think the way that I did this before was to have this go into a remap, and this is going to be our remap in... Our in min max is going to be 0 to 1, because that's the value that we'll have on our noise. And then for the output, we're going to take our base shade, put it into a vector 2 x for the minimum, and have the y be 1 for the maximum. Stick that into our remap. And then if we take our base shade and kind of slide it up, you can see that we get lighter dark spots on here, which is exactly what we want. Maybe it makes more sense to actually rename this to like base shade variation intensity or something, but I'll leave it as is for now. I think that's fine. And then we can take this and multiply it with our base color. And now we get some variation on our texture. Again, we can oh yeah, that's something else we need to think about. So if we, why is it mapping between that and 0.5? I've messed something up here. There we go. Minimum needs to be 0. Default 0. Let's set it to 0.2. So 0.2. Save my graph. There we go. 0.2 currently looks like this. It should actually look like that. Reason it looks like this is because our current base shade variation is like, as we make it smaller, we're ending up with more variation. So we actually want to take this and put it through a 1- to get the inverse of it. So if this is 1, our output is going to be 0. If it's 0, output's going to be 1. Very nice. Let me just save that real quick and I'll come answer the chat question. And there we go. Now as we pump the value up, we get more variation. And with the default of 0.2, it's like nice and subtle. What is the expected completion date of this project? Well, my goal was a month for having something playable, at least a demo, which by when I started making this, that deadline is the 28th, I think, which is 2 weeks today. So theoretically, all going well, or all being well, we'll say the 29th, that's 2 weeks today. There should theoretically be a demo for this game available to download on Steam, or at least itch.io. So far, I feel confident. I do feel confident. A lot of people probably disagree that it's going to happen, because we're missing a lot of like gameplay elements right now, but I still feel it's within the realms of realism. We'll see. Thank you for the good luck wishes. I appreciate it. Cool. All right. So now that we've got this in place, we want to change up the UVs. So I'm going to create a tiling and offset. Reason being is because I want this to kind of hop around the place, and the tiling and offset we're going to just stick through into the UVs for the gradient noise. Nothing too fancy going on there. The fancy stuff is going to happen when we start messing around with the tiling and the offset. Let's have a new float real quick for our shade, base shade, or yeah, shade variation scale. I'm going to use this for the size or the scale of the gradient noise. We're going to give it a default value of 2. Yeah, I think that's fine. So now we can go ahead and, yeah, increase this if we want lots of variation, or keep it low if we want it to be kind of subtle. Maybe I kind of like 7.5 on the pot. And again, let's make sure we got both of these in frame so we can kind of see as we start making progress with this. Cool. Let's grab a time node. And we're going to use this to offset our UV. So we can see if I just drag time in there, it's just going to start scrolling, and we can see this happening on our object. Currently, just as time ticks forward, it's gonna do its thing. So what we actually want to do is probably, I mean, for the time being, let's just stick this into a, yeah, we're going to stick it into a multiply, and we're going to multiply it by the frame rate. We're then going to take that and round it to the nearest int and use that as our offset value. So if our frame rate is 0, it's not going to scroll. But if we set to like, say we want, I'm doing frame rate, node settings, default value of 5 frames a second, we end up getting like a good bit of flickering going on here. If I save that, we can see now nothing is happening over here because our frame rate is 0. If I crank that up, there we go. We now have some shade variation coming in, and I might even just drop it a little bit lower, or potentially just up the scale. So it's a little more, yeah, a little more subtle, rather than what we were looking at before. And I would also like to grab a position node so that we can map this based on the world UVs rather than the object UVs, and that should get rid of that seam that we were looking at the side there. Cool. So we're like one step of the way there already. That's handy. The next thing that we want to do with this, if I just, let's clean up this graph a little bit before we move on, because I like to keep everything nice and neat and orderly. Those are straight. Don't think I'm going to get that any straighter than it already is. You're already as good as you're going to get. Just move this guy up and across a little bit. our position node and our texture scrolling. Cool. So that's now doing all of our base color stuff, at least for the time being. Eventually what we'll do is take this and affect it by our lighting, which we might even be able to do that now, but I don't want to yet. I want to do our vertex position offset first. So we're going to use the same gradient noise that we've got here actually. We're going to completely ignore the remapping because we want it to be between 0 and 1. I'm going to take this out. And what is it that I actually want to do with this? I want to actually, first things first, let's get our position again. World space, absolutely fine. We're going to split this out because I don't want to move the pot up and down, I don't think. Or maybe I do. You know what? Yeah, sure. Why not? We'll do that. We're going to take this, put it into a subtract, and I want to take off 0.5 so that we end up with values between negative 0.5 and positive 0.5 rather than 0 and 1. I'm going to add a new property, which is going to be our displacement strength. We're going to then add that to our position. And then use this. Oh, first things first, we need to convert back to object space. So we're going to do transform, convert from world to object position, plonk that into our position on our vertex offset. Let's maybe give our displacement strength a default value of 0.125. That's possibly going to be a little bit too strong. Yeah, we can see that even in here. That's kind of crazy. Unless it's just not actually updating the value, which is completely possible. Save the asset. Let's turn down that. Oh, the displacement strength just isn't doing anything because we haven't actually done it. Right. Grab ourselves a multiply. Probably want to put this into multiply A, not multiply B, and then I'll get my displacement strength, whack it in there. Save the asset. There we go. And now we can have this like super subtle if we want. If in fact I might even just scale it internally, because otherwise we're going to be looking at setting things really low, like 0.0, something like 0.025. This is starting to look good though. This is starting to look good. Cool, and that ticks our displacement box. So we're pretty much up to where we were with this original shader, minus the kind of lighting aspects of it, because we want to handle this somewhat separate. And to do so, I really want to figure out a way that I can clean up this shader graph without duplicating all of this noise stuff. That's also a really irritating thing about shader graph. Like, I can't shift select nodes, so if I do this, it's like this one gets left behind because I couldn't select it as well. Cool. And then this is our, like we said, this is our color. So we can kind of fiddle around with doing the stuff in the middle here. Now, this is where stuff starts getting a little kind of funky. What? That's not what I want. Because we need to figure out, or we need to grab our lighting information and start actually applying it to our object. So if I grab our get main light info out here, and you know, for the time being, what we can do, I am going to grab another position node again, once more world position. Put that as an input for our thing, and then we're going to take the dot product. I think I can probably put this into B to keep things in order. The dot product of our light info, and then our normal from our geometry. And you can see there we've got some light going on here, and then if we multiply that with our base color, plug that into our output, we should now see, oh god, something has gone terribly wrong. What we should end up seeing is a or the lighting data effectively, which is we're kind of getting that, but we're ending up with this weird rainbow thing going on. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. That's quite interesting. That is quite interesting. Which way is my light facing, just out of curiosity? It is pointing in that direction by the looks of things. Yeah, that's weird. That is weird. So we're ending up, why are we ending up with that? Yeah, no, I don't want to use object. I definitely want to be using the world position, because if I switch it to object position, we're going to end up with some strange stuff going on. I wonder if let me give some base color here so we can see what's going on. It might be, no, something strange must be going on here, because we are not having any issues in the preview, only in our pot. Ah, there we go. Our base shade variation is playing into it. Doesn't seem to be causing any issues again in our preview. Maybe if I set scale to 0. That's really weird. That's really weird. Because, yeah, we should just be ending up with a nice value between 0 and 1 here. This dot product is going to give us a value between -1 and 1. So perhaps we want to, let me try something real quick. I'm going to just remap it. There we go. That's giving us something better. although we're no longer getting the kind of the full blacks in some places. That has given us a it's given us a something. Maybe I want to, I don't think I want to remap it. Do I want to saturate it? Yeah, there we go. Now we are getting foreshadow in some places and not in others. Fantastic. So what we've effectively done is recreated the simple lit shader with custom nodes, which is cool. We've got our wiggle back. I'm going to actually lower the displacement strength just a little bit more. Going to up the frame rate again. I kind of want it to match the old pot actually. We've got it at 5.5, 0.05. Go on then. And I do think actually we'll go ahead and remove, or we'll make the displacement only apply to the one axis. So I'm going to split my split my position out, add to move this down. Let's try and get some things a little bit better laid out. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to add our displacement to the red channel, i.e. the X channel. We're then going to combine these values back together. So I'll just take the green, plug it straight across, take our RGB value, stick that into our transform. And now we've just got displacement along the X-axis, same as we had before. Fantastic. We'll clean this up a little better in a minute. I want to see if we can get some kind of toon remapping going on here. And there's a question as well of how we want to proof of concept this, whether we use something like a halftone that we can generate in Unity, or even just a noise map again, honestly, to kind of get some interesting shading effects. And then we can hop over into Photoshop once everything's working and replace it with a texture workflow, such that we can use the use the texture for what our shadows end up looking like. Cool. We can get straight on with looking at that kind of thing. So, first things first, let's have a way to affect how much impact the shading actually has on our shader. So we can have like differing levels of shadow. Let's have a float, and this is going to be shade intensity, or maybe something like no, shade intensity is fine. And we're going to use this to take the color that we've got here. Let me just go ahead and tidy all this stuff up. Perfect. We're going to take this color and convert it to HSV. Reason being, we want to take it and alter the value, so that the brightness effectively of the color based on this shading intensity. So we can go ahead, take this, split it, grab the blue value, oh my gosh, grab the blue value, multiply, like I say, by the shade intensity, like so, which will give the shade intensity a default of like 0.5, I guess. Once more, combine this into a vector 3. The blue is going into Z, R is going into X, and the G into Y. And then we can take this, convert it back to RGB. Woo! And use that in our multiply. So now I believe... Oh, that's not doing what I want it to. Look at that. And if we take it like way down below, we get some weird funky color crunching going on. So, we get back in here. I might need to go and pull up a Daniel Illett video on the halftone shader that he's created, because that uses much of this stuff, and we'll be able to actually get some help. So shout out Daniel Illett on YouTube, and I want to shrink this window. No, not you, this one. Shrink. There we go. There we go. There we go. Right, let's do it. Let's pop ourselves open a Chrome. Sweep. Halftone shader. Look at that, beautiful. And let's take a look at the graph that he's got going here. So this is fine. What's happening here? We're gonna try and explain everything that's going on while we're going through the video. For two reasons. One reason, it means that I understand what's going on, and two reasons so that we can kind of walk through this without having to cover our nice little music in the background. As nice as the video music that Daniel uses is Minecraft vibes, is what we're using here. So yeah, we're taking a base texture for a color map, applying it with some base color to give us the basic shade of our unlit object. And then here we go. This is where we need to go. We need to be using a lerp instead of using a multiply. So this is creating the color of what we should have in, like, not in light. So any level of shade yeah. Okay, hop back over. Let me explain this a little bit better. We're going to delete this multiply. Delete. And we're going to remove our link from the lighting to the color space conversion stuff. Rather, what we're going to have is our output from here is going to go into the color space conversion. So we're actually taking our base color and multiplying it by some shade value, and we're then going to lerp this. I think you're going to be A and you're going to be B based on the value of the lighting. So where the light is 0, we're going to use our shaded shade, and where the light is 1, we're going to use our lit shade. Cool. Very nice. There we go. That's better. And what I might like to do actually is apply this this noise after the fact. so that we get like an even application of the noise all over, rather than ending up with, or maybe it works out the same. I think it probably works out the same. We'll have a fiddle, and if we decide that we want it to be different, we'll come back and look at it in a second. One thing I'm going to do quickly is just change my camera settings to have a super low field of view, so that we can kind of view this as if we were looking at it in game. Because we are using an isometric camera in our game view, as you can see. Cool. I wonder if I just have like a general lightness modifier as well. Perhaps I do, perhaps I do. We also need to figure out how to apply shadows on this. I've just realized, because you can see here we've got this nice shadow casting along here, which we don't have on this one because it's an unlit shader. It has no shadows. So we'll figure some stuff out there with self-casting and things as well. And we probably won't filter those shadows through the paint shading. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Either way, let's jump onto what the next step of this is going to be. And I really want to try and neaten this up a little if I can, because this is awful. Come on, there we go. Let's move all of this back a bit. We've got our color space conversion gubbins. And our lerp. Close, close, close. Cool, 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 cool. And I'll lerp. Let's leave you there for now. And I think that probably means we can bring some of this stuff a little bit closer in again. And by this stuff, I mean the outputs. Instead of having them miles away, let's get them back in here with our shenanigans. Cool. So the funky stuff starts happening down with our lighting output, which again, let's go hop back over here to our video and talk about what the deal is with this. So, whoop. Yeah, first things first, because we're going to be using screen space for this texture overlay. I think we are just going to use halftone, and then we'll switch out the halftone elements to actually pull this in. Very cool effect. Don't think I've seen a 3D game attempt an effect like this before. Thanks. I'm not sure if I have either, to be fair. I'm trying to think of it, but I figured it would be a nice aesthetic to go for in comparison to the usual just simple flat shaded that cozy games tend to have, or the kind of, you know, like soft aesthetic. If we can combine that with something that feels like a stop frame paint animation, I think that would feel really cozy and look really nice, especially with, you know, kind of keeping everything simplified. And yeah, I think it should be cozy. I tell you what we will do, actually. Let's take our base color and multiply it with the ambient lighting. Whoops. And now that's given us the ambient light color. Maybe I want to add instead of multiplying. Maybe I do want to multiply. Because I figure actually we'll probably make use of this attenuation. Put this in multiply B, this in multiply A, and then take this out into there, save asset. So now I think we should be able to like decrease the intensity. Oh, look at that. Interesting. We should still have, we don't have the color. Oh yeah, we're not including the color anywhere for this. Oh, this is kind of a cool effect starting to happen over on my original clay shader, but I don't want to use my original clay shader. At least not yet. It may well be the case that we actually take all of our lighting stuff that we've got going on here and apply it to a lit shader so that we have the default kind of shadows and lighting going on, but we can overlay this basic effect on top. Only thing I think we would end up running into is that we would have our shadows would end up shaded, and that's not something that we want. So I do think actually we need to do this custom on an unlit shader, and we'll figure out how we get everything going with ambient lighting and all the rest of it in a moment. But for the time being, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Do our halftone gubbins. So we want to, as I was saying, convert from working in our we want to convert the UVs for what our screen space is going to end up being to being a perfect square, because we're going to use a square texture to do this mapping. And the way we do that is with a screen position node, like so. I think I can shrink that down because we don't need to see anything. We're going to take this output into a split so that we can get the y-axis, the height of the screen. We are going to, or the vertical UV even, I'm going to divide that by the aspect ratio. So if I get the screen width and height, pop these into a divide the width by the height, gets us the aspect ratio, divide our height by that, so that we end up with it basically being the same value as the width. And then we take the output of that, combine it in a vector 2 with our x, and that gives us then a 1:1 UV mapping for some texture over the screen, like our screen space texture, and that's going to be what we use for the UVs of our actual shape. So let's go ahead and actually apply that to the thing. I think let's do, yeah, we can use a Voronoi. So if we take a Voronoi and set the angle offset to 0, we end up with a nice grid of squares, which is cool. We can use our vector 2 that we've just created for the UV of this. Cell density is obviously how many dots we're going to end up with. I'm going to leave it at 5 for now. And then if we take the output of this into the in value of a smooth step, like so, and then do I even want to put it into a smooth step for the time being, or do I just want to step it? because what we can do is add some value representing the effective softness, as it were, and use this as our edge 2 and that as our edge 1, and now we get yeah, you can see kind of like the effect that we have going on here for you know, I don't think we need softness actually, because we're not going to use feathered edges on any of our stuff, so we can just roll with having a value of 0, and it means we get permanent dots. So rather than using a smooth step, I'm just going to use a normal step node. This is going to be the in, our edge is going to be the lighting, and then we can use this as the lerp value. Save that. And oh wow, would you look at that, we kind of have some toon shading going on here. That's kind of cool, that's kind of cool. I think probably we want to invert this value. Do I mean invert? Negate, that's the one. So that we have the opposite. Nah, that's not what I want. What do I want? What do I want? Daniel, help me. So, skipping past here. Got our screen space aspect ratio, that is all good. Actually, real quick, just to make sure that this is... Yeah, cool, good. I just wanted to double check that I wasn't ending up with... I want to bring down this variation a little more. It's a little too intense, like 0.0375. Let's go with that. Yeah, it's like barely noticeable. Maybe I'll go 0.05. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. Right. Use screen space. We're not doing that. We're always going to use screen space. Use Unreal 5. Trust me. Nah, I'm good. I've tried Unreal 5. It's not for me. I would consider using Godot for some other things, but there's just certain aspects of like just the familiarity. I mean, I kind of talked about it in my my video that I made when the whole Unity pricing debacle was going on, about why I wouldn't switch away from Unity because of all of that stuff. And it doesn't mean that I would only use Unity ever for the rest of all eternity. Odds are I will probably use Unity forever for the rest of all eternity, because Unity's like, it's a decent engine. It does everything that I need it to do. But Unreal 5 is just, it's too heavyweight for what I want. And Godot is, it's cool. I do actually quite like Godot. I don't have any reason not to use it. And I do want to use it more in future. I just won't be able to do anything production ready with it at my current experience level in the engine for a good while. And, you know, comparatively just with how long it's been around for, and how many users there have been for the base of it, the level of comparative resource, especially between Godot 3 and Godot 4, like there's not that much resource for Godot 4 out there yet. So long story short, learning process. I'd like to use Godot for a lot more things. It is very enjoyable. I do like the engine a lot. But, you know, I've got 12 years experience using Unity over its many iterations, from Unity 3 back when I started using it up to what is now Unity 2022, and what will be Unity 6. It's the engine that I can use for making production ready stuff. And Unreal Engine is way too big and not really the most appropriate for the kind of things that I want to be doing at the moment anyway. Maybe I'll come back to it one day and change my mind. Cool. Don't need to faff around doing any multiplying or rotating, because we're just keeping our circles as they are. So then actually applying it, yeah, we get our Voronoi. We have our Voronoi UV. We are stepping it. Maybe I want the in to be... No, I do want the in to be the Voronoi and the edge to be the lighting. But there's a bit about negating this. Maybe I don't need to... Hold on. Let him cook. There we go. Okay, we're getting somewhere. What happens if I just massively up my dot density? Whoa, look at that. We're starting to get some dots in here, y'all. Yo. Of course, because it's in screen space. So the dots are going to be relative to the size of the screen. So actually, we probably, rather than just affecting, you know, the cell density that we've got going on here, we probably want to look at actually using some tiling and offset for scaling the UVs. But that's kind of working. I wonder what this would look like on a lit shader. I wonder. I'm thinking about it because the clay shader, the look of the clay shader feels quite nice, especially if we get our lighting set up properly. So with like an ambient light at, whoops, not 90. And then the directional light maybe having an intensity of like 0.1 or 0.2, 3. Pot old is what I was looking at. Stroke intensity. That's definitely not doing what I wanted to do anymore. No, I do think I've definitely messed up my... my vibes. I wonder what happens if I do just use my normal UVs. Oh, things get kind of funky. I mean, this could potentially be what we want to do. If I think I have a thumbprint texture. Let me... Okay, let's start doing some stuff here. So we're going to take a texture 2D. I'm going to call this stroke texture. Let's delete that. I'm going to take the stroke texture and I'm going to plug it into a sample 2D. I guess I then want to put that straight into the input for my edge. Press save. And now on my new pot, I can go in here. I've got a thumbprint texture, fingerprint texture, which we're going to go turn this back into a normal texture because it's actually black and white. That's kind of doing something. It's kind of doing something. If I change this to use my screen space UVs, we end up with some weird stuff going on. Look at that. Look at that. That's really quite funky. I want to saturate this. I don't want to saturate this. Regardless, I don't think I want to use screen space projection necessarily at the moment. That's very interesting though, that we're getting this kind of coloration around the edge. Whee! Every time. Hold on. I'm having a think thunk. Because what we probably should look at doing... Okay. I've got a plan. Let's pop open Photoshop. And we're going to create ourselves... This is going to be similar to something that... what's his name? Useless Game Dev, I think. I'm going to make a 512 by 512. Let's do 124 by 124. And by 124 I mean 1024. We are going to fill the whole thing with black, and we are going to create a few layers. On one of the layers, I'm going to use my paintbrush. Do we have visual scripting in Unity? I believe so, yes. I'm pretty sure they added officially supported visual scripting in Unity 2022 through the form of Bolt. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's been in there since Unity 2021. Even better. Yeah, there you go. You do indeed have support. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to have a layer which I'm going to call red. I'm going to have a layer which I'm going to cancel. I'm going to call green. And I'm going to have a layer which I'm going to call blue. And we are going to do... something along the lines of what we ended up with, or what wait, let's not do that. What Useless Dev was doing for his video on what's it called? My brain is so not working. On Mobius, that's it, Mobius art style. And we're gonna try and do some stuff here. So what we can do is have a single texture with a pattern of blue, pattern of green, pattern of red, and then use the lighting with a color ramp to decide how many of these textures we overlap with each other. And that can then be like we can use that to effectively create a cross-hatching / painting style overlay on our system. So I can just like draw a bunch of random looking paint lines on here. I don't really want to do them straight though, because that's kind of boring. So we're just going to go roughly straight like this. Answering some questions while I'm doing this. In terms of downloading Unity and where to start with it, if you've never had any experience with an engine, and depending on what you want to do, like if your goal is to get into, you know, having a job somewhere, learn Unreal. As much as I would love to say learn Unity, again, pricing debacle has probably turned most people off Unity, and a lot of industry is using Unreal now anyway. In the AAA and even like AA indie space, Unreal is the more popular choice nowadays, I think. That might change, but it might not. If you want to do indie, probably take a look at Godot. I think it's got a lower learning curve, mainly because of it forces you into using good programming practices through the way that it handles objects. Like Unity lets you stick loads and loads of different components onto a single game object, which can be quite overwhelming. And it does also encourage, like, if you want to use Unity properly, you have to get used to using both mono behaviors with components alongside pure C# classes. And a lot of people, when they first start using Unity, get really stuck with that. Godot, on the other hand, is like you make a node and that node has a script. And that's like, you know, it's much better. And then it's got things like signals is basically an implementation of the observer pattern, but it kind of forces you to use that for cross component communication, especially if you're using scenes, which you should be. Probably means nothing if you've not used Godot. Point being, if you're a new dev wanting to do indie development, look at Godot. It's by far the lowest learning curve of them all, and you can get really nice results quite quickly. In general, my advice to anyone who is a developer looking to do development is just learn principles and practices, because then the tool doesn't matter. If you know what a tool should have and how to solve problems, you can pick up any tool and kind of figure out how to do some things. So that's typically the approach I take. Yeah. If you wanted to get started with Unity, I mean, the approach that I think PewDiePie took in his 30 days learning to draw challenge, and that someone else then took with learning Blender, if you spend like maybe a month or two doing just tutorials, follow along with like good tutorials that walk through creating a whole project from start to finish, something like Code Monkeys, getting started with Unity, long form tutorial that's like is multiple hours long, but it's a really good tutorial for kind of getting used to learning Unity, building out a full game and having something tangible at the end. And then following that, start trying to take some of those principles that you learn, apply them to small projects that you want to create, or if you know a small game that you like and you want to replicate, and I mean something like Flappy Bird, you know, something really small, try recreating it to, again, get an idea for how to solve problems yourself and how to implement things. And then from there you can kind of progress into just adding more and more things on top. But you know, all of the knowledge just comes from experience. It takes time to build up experience with these things. And then to answer the question about the save system, how did I assign IDs to prefabs and what is serializable GUID? Let's talk about it in the code actually. So I'm using the Odin inspector, which is, where's my savable data stuff? Let's do it in the editor. I'm using Odin inspector, which has allowed me to build up this custom inspector very easily. In this, I have a button for assigning a new GUID to a scriptable object rather than the prefabs themselves. I think it's a lot cleaner to have the data in a data container, and then the prefabs can sit separately, and we can assign the mapped prefab to whichever data it's making use of. So for example, in the world objects, I've got a scriptable object for a basic pot. This basic pot, we can assign a GUID to it. And then when we instantiate an object, I have an interface through my quote-unquote database, which the database is just a static class. And let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Data. Come on. Base. That's not it. So yeah, the database item scriptable object is the base level scriptable object. It has the serializable GUID, which all that is, it's a class that I took from Git Amend on YouTube. It's a GUID, like a unique ID, generated unique ID, which is serializable. So we can view it in the inspector and save it to a save file, XML, JSON, binary, pick your poison. That's all that class is. You could just use a string. You could use a normal GUID instead of a serializable GUID if you don't want to be able to see it in the inspector. But actually, to be able to write it to the system, you kind of need some of these utilities for taking it and making it serializable. I'll probably put a link to the video either in the description of this live stream after I'm done, or over in the Discord server. If you're not already in there, feel free to join, and I share more kind of stuff that I'm doing while I'm doing. Yeah, so there's a method on here called assign new GUID, which just takes the ID and assigns it to serializable GUID.new GUID, which that method in itself just generates a new GUID and converts it to a serializable GUID using this method here. Again, Git Amend code, not mine. He is a Don. Definitely should check out his videos. So then in the editor, I am drawing in a button here. So if we've got something selected, I have a button called assign new GUID, which if that button is clicked, it assigns a new GUID to the selected data, and then updates the asset database, i.e. the scriptable objects that I've got saved in my Unity project. Hopefully that answers the question. You are in the Discord. Nice. Good to know. Struggle with modular save system. Stream really help, but I'm not sure how to associate prefabs with code. Yeah, it's certainly a tough one. I mean, first things first, definitely get Odin, because it makes life so much easier for editor stuff. With the actual saving and loading of data to things that are being instantiated, it really is a case of trying to separate as much of the stateful data about the object, so things like its position, what different stats it has on it, depending on, you know, what you're trying to save. Separate as much of that as possible from like a specific object or something in the scene, if you get what I'm saying, because then you can save that data independently of anything that's going on in the scene and just write it back onto the components that then represent it. It's almost like a model view controller type approach, where, you know, the view is your game objects and the actual things that exist, and the model is the data that you're loading, saving, influencing as the player, and then you just have to kind of figure out a sensible way to interface between the two, which is super difficult. Like, it's kind of a pain, especially if you're going to end up with, you know, thousands of game objects at runtime, which need to be instantiated when you load a game. I don't know what the performance impacts of that are going to be. So you probably then need to look at doing stuff asynchronously, but you know, it's something that I'd be happy to talk about more if you want to go in more detail. I'll be hanging around in Discord. Well, I'm always kind of watching the server just in case, so do feel free to punt out questions and we can talk about it more, because it gets deep. Yeah, it gets deep. Right, back to Photoshop. Photoshop. Where you gone? There we go. I want to find like a really nice brush that looks more like a paintbrush instead of, I mean, I guess this will do. Or just bang. Do I go all the way off the screen? I wonder. No. Bang. This is where having a like a graphical tablet would be really nice. Because at the moment, doing this with a mouse is just not it. There's our blue. Odds are I'll probably change this in the future as well. Let's have red at 1. Do this on our red layer. We'll have red be straight across. Whoops. Hey, careful now. There we go, something like that, and then green. We're going diagonal. And hopefully doing this like this, using a kind of hand-drawn approach, will make it feel a little more kind of nice. And there's also a question of like, oh geez, I keep pressing the wrong buttons. I'd really quite like to have this texture jiggle as well. And I don't know if we do that by applying some noise to the UVs separately, or what. I haven't quite decided yet. Let's just quick export this as a PNG. We are going to export it into graphics. Yeah, I guess. And we'll call this crosshatch. So if let me move that over there for the time being. We'll keep the stroke texture as is and sample it. I then don't need to split it because we can grab the RGB separately. Let's update our default stroke texture with our cross hatch, like so. This is problem. We probably want to change the mode of these to add rather than or not multiply. Maybe multiply. Could be multiply. Yes, I see. I mean, one problem that there is with that, this is why you kind of, oh well, is that, I'm assuming, is that at runtime that you're doing that assignment, or? What are we, yeah, what, I don't want to use multiply, because if it's at run in the editor, okay. depending on how many times it runs that, and depending on how things are sorted in your resources folder, it might end up assigning a new ID that's different to what the previous ID was to some other object. Like if it's in alphabetical order, for example, you're going to end up with, yeah, some weird potential results. I think we just go with Lighten. Replace. There we go. Perfect. So now we can see all three of our different strokes. And then I guess based off, oh god, what have I done? That's not what I did. I deleted this. Stupid thing. Based off of our lighting that we've got here, we want to, I think, probably sample a gradient. Which will have 3 steps. And it's going to be fixed. Whoops. Do I do all the art myself? Ish. I do most art assets I do for tile lands. My girlfriend Adele did the all of the graphics for that, with the exception of like one tile, which I ended up doing because I just needed it at speed. But she's very good at what she does, and did, yeah, like I say, all of the art assets for that outside of the UI, which she's currently working on updating. For this game, odds are I'll probably end up doing everything myself, which is why I'm kind of also trying to go for this more simplistic kind of art style. Rather than trying to do anything too complex. Ooh, would you look at that? I think probably we don't want to negate in that case. Yeah, look at that. We got toon shading. Not what we were shooting for, not what the goal is, but that's given us something. What we need to do is actually go based off of based off of what stage, like how dark the thing is, we want to add in more of these textures, which if I was gonna do that, I want to figure it out myself, but I don't think I can. Do I want it to look like paint? Kinda. That's the goal. I want it to look kind of painterly. I have no idea how well I'm actually going to be able to execute that. It may well be the case that I go back to my hold on a second. There we go. Yeah, it may well be the case that I go back to my original pot shader, because I actually quite like the soft shading look. I just need to fix what I'm doing with my normals here. And Ooh. Hold up. Here's a thought. Let me... Can I copy between different shader graphs? I can, fantastic. If I use this as the UV for my stroke texture over in the clay pot, and then take that and put it into the normal. This is URP, yes, indeed. I had a thought, I had a plan. I want to use the custom mesh, I want to use my pot. What was my thought? What was my plan? We're using screen space UVs to take my stroke texture. You know what, let's turn this into fingerprints. Absolutely no impact whatsoever. I mean, I guess I can... Hold the phone. What am I doing? I want to take this texture. So this is giving me my brush stroke texture in world space. I think actually probably I want to no. I want to, yeah, take this value. So we can offset the UVs over time at the same frame rate that we've got. If I, real quick, I'm just going to plug this straight into the base color and hit save. So we should end up with like nothing apparently. Not what I was looking for. How has that ended up just plain gray? Let me stick a brush stroke texture in here. Yeah, we just end up with plain gray going on. Oh, wait. It's because I'm being stupid. We want to plug this into the UV of the tiling and offset node and then use this for our offset. Okay. So aside from the fact that it's just like a super low resolution shader, or a super low resolution texture, sorry. Or at least it looks it. Why is that getting downscaled so hard? Like what's going on there? If I just use the UVs of the object, things are going to look weird, aren't they? Kinda. That's doing some weird things. Okay. To be fair, I think I'm fully barking up the wrong tree here. I don't want to be faffing around with the old shader. I just want to be faffing around with the new shader. Yeah. How would you go about doing that? I mean, if you've got a property on the material, and you have an instance of that material, then you should be able to write just to that instance. The problem with changing materials at runtime is then cleaning up the old version or the newly created version. You can end up with lots of materials leaking around the place, which isn't particularly good for runtime. But there is definitely a way to do it. Yeah, there's definitely a way to do it. Right, I'm gonna have to refer back to Mobius shader. We are gonna fully steal exactly this. This is what we want. Because we've got our... No! Go away! I have arcade. I don't need it. Yeah, cool. So we have our brightness filter, and we can apply our etch-a-sketches based on which section we fit into. Perfect. There we go. Ah, that's lovely. Oh, I can use a posterize instead to get equal gaps. Okay, right. We are just going to lift and shift. Posterize in. Yep, we want 4 steps. Perfect. And then from that, what are we doing? We're just putting it into a 1 minus and stepping with an edge at equal intervals. If that feels... Okay, so that gives us the inverse, and then we step on that to be the edge and the in to be this. No, what am I talking? What am I chatting? You're going in the in and the edge is 1. We go in the in. The edge is 0.75. Go in the in. 0.5. Multiply. 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 And then we max. Is that what we do? Yeah, max all of them. Max. Max. And then how do we want to apply that, I guess? Because in this video, I guess we just we multiply it by like a shadow color. Yeah, multiply by a shadow color, and then we can pick that's not what I wanted to do. Where's my cross? Oops, wrong pot. Can't spell. Not quite there, not quite there. Yep, not quite, not quite. It's also not a seamless texture, so hold on, what am I even doing here? Are we even using the light anymore? Yes, here's our light. That's going into here. I don't think I want to lerp it. I think I want to... one minus. And then take the minimum. Bruh, why is it all over? Why is it all over? And why are we ending up with like... I mean, I guess that's just color bleed, but we shouldn't be ending up with this, this. I also don't want it to be pure black. That just doesn't look good. Yeah, it just doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. The old shader is like, it kind of looked nice at least. Because we could take our shader. I don't want it to be, yeah, we're ignoring that. Plonk that into our normals. Yo, what's going on there? I was using my pot normals. Like so. I think it's going to take more fiddling. I'm probably going to have to do a bit more research, or a bit more playing around, and likely I will keep the Discord server updated with where I get to, but For the time being, I am sleepy. I need a brain rest. I've had a long weekend and I want to chill. So I'm going to wrap up the stream there, but I want to say thank you very much everyone for watching. If you're not already, please consider joining the Discord server to stay up to date with everything that I'm working on. If you want to support the studio, there's a link to Patreon down in the description, or if you want to support for less or on a one-off basis, there's a buy me a coffee link over on the side. It really does help a lot, and yeah, I'd be incredibly grateful. If you want to check out our existing game, Tilelands, it's available on Steam now. There's a link in the description for that too. And I will see you guys at the same time tomorrow. Thanks very much.